you have decided to pursue a college degree. In the midst of all your other responsibilities, you've decided to add one more, being a college student. How are you going to do this? That's a question that's not simply about finances, important as those are, and your intellectual abilities, crucial as those will be in order to succeed in your classes. It's also not simply a question about Lemoyne-owned colleges, academic offerings, and student resources, as essential as those are for your degree. It's also a question about you as a person, your character, your inner resources, emotional and spiritual, that will sustain you through your studies. So in this class, we're focusing on those practical things, study skills, accessing resources at the college, but we're also attending to that character question. And that's why we're taking time to work through these 7 habits for highly effective people. We're also starting this class, as we tried to do on Thursday night before we had technical difficulties, to have you consider what are your strengths as an adult learner. What do you bring to the table in your classes that you already have? Those experiences, your personal history, your character. What are you bringing to the classroom? So the essay that you're going to be working on is going to address those questions, and I'd like you to do that in light of the articles that you read, the brief articles that were on the Canvas site. Those are the 3 articles that together really identified 5 advantages or benefits of being an adult learner. That is your strengths, what you're bringing to the table. First of those is your own life experience. You have a richer life experience than a traditional aged college student, somebody who's between the ages of 18 and 21. You're bringing your life experience with work, with family responsibilities perhaps, with perhaps military service. You have a number of life experiences that are much richer and deeper than somebody could have as an 18-year-old. That's an advantage for you. So you want to ask, what skills, experiences, life history do you bring to the classroom? What life experience do you have that's going to help you to succeed in your studies at Lemoyne-Owen College? You also have, for second then, superior problem-solving skills. This is tied into your life experience. You've addressed significant issues in your life over time, and you've resolved those issues. Sometimes you may have even failed, and you've learned from your failures. That is an advantage that you bring to the table here in the classroom. So what personal and or professional problems have you analyzed and resolved in a helpful way? What mistakes have you made along the way that you know you have to avoid in order to succeed as a student? So those are questions to ask that you might reflect upon in your short essay. Third, you have an advanced focus. You're more focused and driven than an 18 to 21-year-old. You've had some career goals perhaps, and now you're probably thinking of enriching that career or perhaps changing careers. You have a maturity that results in a stronger sense of direction. So you may ask these kinds of questions. What kind of time management skills do you already have that you've developed in your work and personal life? What disciplines do you maintain already in your life to keep you focused on tasks and completing them? And what goals do you have that you've already succeeded in reaching? And what lessons did you learn in reaching those goals and attaining those goals? Fourth, you have a crystallized knowledge, a drive that helps to keep you focused and not distracted. So you might ask, what's driving you to seek a degree? What is your motivation? How are you going to remain focused on your goal of attaining a degree? What strategies may you draw from your life experience that will help you stay on task. And then finally, fifth, you have the gift of perseverance and maturity. Challenges have built your resilience. So you might ask, what strategies do you have for handling stress and for managing time? How are you bringing those to the table? So all of these things are ways for you to identify your strengths. That's a helpful way to begin. Moving from that, we're going to also try to see how we can do better. And this is where the 7 habits for highly effective people starts to come in. We might begin by asking, what are 7 habits of highly ineffective people, people who aren't very effective at all? And this would be sort of how not to succeed as a student. So those we can briefly identify. These are in the book. The first is to react, to blame others, blame the school, the teachers, your job, find excuses for not doing well. That's a habit for failure. Second, begin with nothing in mind, no plan, no purpose, nor goal. Don't keep a schedule for your schedule. Don't keep a schedule for your reading, for your writing assignments. Just wing it. That's a recipe for failure. Third, put first things last. That is, procrastinate. Flit from one crisis or event to another. Here, you would not set a time for you to focus on your classes. You won't set a time for each day that you set aside for your reading, for your writing, for doing your various assignments. Since the class only meets once a week, just wait to the last minute and do nothing until right before class starts. That's a habit that will help you not to succeed. Fourth, think win-lose. See life as a vicious competition over limited goods. Don't let others succeed or celebrate their doing well. This is where you don't ask others for help. Don't ask other students for help. Don't ask faculty members for help. Don't let anybody know that you're struggling. Again, that's a recipe for failure. That's thinking win-lose. Next, seek first to talk and pretend to listen. Talk a lot and be disinterested in what others are saying. In class, this means don't ask questions. Talk about what you want to talk about instead of what's being focused on in the class. And talk too much. Dominate the class by talking a lot. That's a way to not succeed as a student. Next, be an island. Don't cooperate or work together with others. Be a rugged individual. Don't participate in class at all. You don't need this stupid class anyways. Turn your camera off and keep it off during class. Again, this is a habit that will not serve you well. And finally, number 7, burn yourself out. Be busy all the time, just totally focused on everything. Don't take time to relax, to learn new things or enjoy the world or other people. Again, recipe for disaster. So those are the 7 habits of highly ineffective people. In contrast, we have the 7 habits for highly effective people. Number 1, be proactive. Number 2, begin with the end, the goal in mind. Number 3, put first things first. Number 4, think win-win. Number 5, seek to understand first before making yourself understood. Number 6, learn to synergize. We'll have to explain that one a little bit more when we get to it, but it's really learn how to develop relationships to build a community of scholarship. And number 7 in the book, it's called Sharpen the Saw. And that's about attending to those things that you need to attend to keep your life balanced. This can be prayer for some, Sabbath time, downtime, time with family and friends. How are you going to develop these habits and maintain these habits as a student? These are habits not just for highly effective people. These are habits that we need in order to be successful as students, as lifetime learners. So I'm going to jump to this first habit, be proactive as a habit, as a character trait. We form habits through consistent practice, through self-discipline to do this over and over again. And a habit is simply an excellence that we've developed through practice. And we develop every excellence that we have as human beings through practice. Think about becoming a great athlete or a wonderful musician or an artist or a writer or a student. It requires practice. It requires discipline. You're going to need to practice being a good student. Avoid those 7 habits of highly ineffective students, those vices. They're not virtues. They're not good habits. A good habit is a virtue. So what does it mean to be proactive? It means that you take the initiative. Being proactive means consistently being responsible for your life. This is how you practice day in and day out. I'm going to be responsible for the way in which I act. Proactive people focus their efforts on those things that they can change, that are within their circle of influence, their circle of control. Reactive people focus their lives on those areas which they have no control. They might want to gain that control or seek that control, but reactive people, like I mentioned, the bad habits, blame others for their struggles, sometimes for their failures. They blame the school, the teachers, their job, their spouse. They find excuses for not doing well. You don't want to do that. That's a bad habit. Instead, being proactive as a student, we talked on Thursday night a little bit about the paradigm, that plan for your major. To be proactive is to know your paradigm, know the classes that you need to take in order to keep moving towards attaining your degree. Prepare for your meetings with your advisor. Look at the paradigm. Think about the classes that are available and come ready to talk about what classes you need for each upcoming term. Reach out to faculty if you have a question or a concern. Don't be passive. Be active. Actively participate in your life as a student. Actively participate in class. Also, a proactive student does the work, does the assigned readings, the assignments, does the studying for the tests. A proactive student is one who is taking responsibility for all that they have in their power for their education. Take advantage of the resources that are available at Lemoyne-Owen College or elsewhere that will help you succeed as a student. We're going to spend time talking about tutoring. We'll talk about the library. We'll bring the librarian in. There are these resources that you can draw upon that will help you to succeed as a student. You might remember something that some of you may be familiar with. It's called the Serenity Prayer. It seems to me to be an approach that is very much consistent with being proactive. This prayer says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This is living one day at a time, enjoying one moment as a time, accepting hardships as the pathway to peace, taking the sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that God will make things right if I surrender to God's will, that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with God forever. That serenity prayer comes from a theologian, well-known American theologian, Reinhold Niebuhr. He's kind of a classic American theologian. He died back in 1971. But the clearest sign of being proactive is sticking to the commitments that you've made to yourself and to others. A commitment to self-improvement, to develop your knowledge and your skills, setting goals and working consistently towards them. This means setting aside the time each day to do your studies. You've got to keep on a schedule. You can't wait to the last minute. Find a time, an hour or so every day of the week, which you can devote to your studies. Go back to your strengths. How have you already been proactive? So these are the things that you'd be thinking about, those 5 strengths that you have as an adult learner, and now thinking about this first habit of being proactive. I think that's enough for your essay, and I hope this has been helpful. I'll see you in class on Thursday night.